Welcome to our special meeting, emergency meeting of September 27th. We shouldn't be here too terribly long, and we do have Nikki Day, our city attorney, joining us by Zoom.
I wondered where she was. Her car wasn't there.
We'll call the meeting to order.
I still beat you, Commissioner Franny.
Yes, you did. You were on there. Jennifer, did you want to do your update now on things, or do you want to go through these items first?
I can do my update now, and it will explain to you what the agenda items are.
Okay.
Good idea.
There you go.
Very good. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. I'm so sorry to see you here this morning
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this emergency meeting of the City Commission. On Sunday at noon, I executed Executive Order 2201, which declared a state of local emergency for the city of Dunedin. This executive order.
Everybody make sure your microphones are on.
It is.
So I'm going to start again because we are being televised. On Sunday at noon, I executed Executive Order 2201, which declared a state of local emergency for the city of Dunedin. This executive order allows staff to respond to the imminent threat of Hurricane Ian quickly and efficiently. You've ratified several of these executive orders in the past for Irma, for Elsa, and for COVID, and I think 3 or 4 others. So this is not new to the City Commission at all. Ratification of the executive order then solidifies our position with FEMA, and we want to make sure that any expenditure for the storm, which I think is going to be extensive, we recap through FEMA. So the action before the City Commission this morning is to ratify the Executive Order 2201 via Resolution 22-24. Before we get to that, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, if I may give you an update on our level of preparedness. We will also give this update during a Facebook Live from the Emergency Operations Center this afternoon. The EOC is fully activated as of 8 a.m. this morning. So the EOC is the Emergency Operations Center. It is essentially, during the course of a state of emergency, the brain, if you will, of the city. Embedded within the EOC, we will have two Duke Energy representatives, 2, I think. We will have a deputy, BSO, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and they will have a direct link to their Emergency Operations Center as well. This is the first time we've had those 2 entities full-time in our EOC 24/7, so it's going to be good to see them, and we're going to feed them very well. So also within our Emergency Operations Center is our operations directors, our management staff. We will be watching and monitoring this storm and the impacts on the city 24/7. There's always somebody awake, always somebody watching, and always somebody responding. So with that, we will have our Director of Public Works, our new Director of Public Works, and she is here today, Sue Bartlett. I want to introduce you to her.
Welcome.
I really wanted to make a more formal introduction with resumes and a whole description, but
Kind of like when you came into the city.
yeah, exactly.
came
We've
with
noted
Irma.
the similarities. This is exactly the instance where I felt that we needed a director in place. Public Works director is crucial during our emergency response, and Sue comes to us with years of experience in this type of a thing, and she's already made an impact in the 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days that she's worked with us. So yeah, we're very grateful to have her there. We will have, of course, our fire chief who serves as our incident commander, and via our National Incident Management System, which we follow, which was put in place by the federal government after Hurricane Andrew. He is the incident commander, so he will be calling the shots during the course of the storm. We are in frequent contact with the county and with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. We are pushing out all of their communications from their EOC out to our residents. Pretty much everything you see is from the county, with some of them tailored to our special circumstances here in the city of Dunedin. I have been in contact with the county administrator and the other city managers in all of the cities on a daily basis. We have another call at 12:30 today with those entities, and also I spoke to the sheriff about 20 minutes ago. He's been calling all the city managers. We have a long list of names to call for when we need them during the course of the storm. So the communications for this storm, I think, are exceptional. I think better than they were for Irma. So I just want the public to know that we are very active and very prepared. Some of the things that we have put in place already First of all, just so the public knows, we drill on a hurricane, and we did that, I think, in April this year. Yes, all employees drilled on a Category 4 type of a scenario, I believe, for the city of Dunedin. So when the storm started approaching, everybody knew what to do, and I'm really very proud of all of them. They had already taken the actions that they needed to take. First of all, this morning you are executing the renewal of participant agreement for Tetra Tech. That's the second item on your agenda. Tetra Tech is our debris monitoring services. So they monitor the debris that we remove to ensure that we are reimbursed. We are staging equipment and staff and public services to ride out the storm for the first push recovery. As soon as the winds die down, and hopefully it will be daylight, we'll send out a first push. And the first push assesses the roadways, lines down, and that type of thing. So our residents need to stay in their houses until we can assess the condition of the city. Public services staff are moving city clerk and HR files to our new parks operations building. So some of those are low-lying areas. We need those files. They are the public record. And I want to note when the new city hall is completed, we won't have to do that again. Public services staff are securing city facilities in advance of the approaching storm. Those activities should be completed today. Staff is checking to ensure no blockages exist along stormwater channels, systems, and at permitted facility outfalls. And that's very important. And we do that on 365 days a year. We cleared the system and keep it clear as well, but it's especially important for this time of year. Utilities, water, and wastewater personnel are securing their respective plants and staging staff to address collection and transmission problems. So we will have staff embedded in the Public Services Building, in the Emergency Operations Center, in the water plant, and the wastewater treatment plant, and one more place, which I had already mentioned, Public Services as well. So they'll be stationed all around the city watching the storm. Fleet Services has prepared a guidance memorandum on driving through water. It's a very helpful memorandum. I'm not sure if we pushed that out to the public yet, but we will.
I think you did.
Yeah, we did? Good. Fuel pumps will be secured and turned off as of 3 p.m. this evening as a precaution for refueling post-storm. Sandbags. Sandbags is always an issue in any storm. Sandbags are not staffed today, and the supplies are still there. We distributed approximately 30,000 sandbags to our residents, and the calls we received were all positive. I know that there was a long wait. There was a long wait throughout county. We have deployed our staff in the areas that we feel they need to be in order to protect the city, and I'm grateful to those who waited patiently for the sandbags. I want to talk a little bit about solid waste. Go ahead.
Did you say sand was there now? It's still
Sand is
available?
there now.
Bags are
And
there?
Okay, because there was some
I
feedback
thought we
on.
ran out of bags
We,
yesterday.
we still have bags. We just had to go restock. We ordered more and there's still an additional stock, so.
All right, so we need
And
to
so
notify.
the public probably didn't hear that. There are sandbags there. We just ran out at the site, and we had to go restock.
Because our messaging says it's closed, so.
It is not staffed with our people.
Our people have been redeployed to prepare the city, so it's not staffed.
How about shovels? Are shovels there? Should residents bring their own shovel?
Shovels are there, yes.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to bring some just in case.
Right.
somebody left with-
Somebody, right.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we
They grew
should
legs.
put out messaging that says self-serve is still available today.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Tell what time, just tell us.
Yeah, after 6.
I'm not sure we'll have to message it out.
After 6, it's not going to be? Which makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so Commissioner
Go, sir.
Torringa just asked, we'll stop at 6.
That's correct.
Okay, so sandbags are available with shovels there. Bring your own shovels, and we will discontinue at 6 o'clock today. Okay, solid waste. We'll cease collection efforts today. We are struggling getting through the routes. A lot of folks are putting their landscaping and that type of thing at the curb. They need to stop doing that, especially today and tomorrow, because we might not get around to everybody. So they have to be really careful. We can't accommodate that volume. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Also, the Building Division and Code Compliance Division have been visiting active construction sites. New City Hall's looking very buttoned down, I'm very happy to say. Active construction sites to encourage removal of materials. And I understand from the Building Department, Building Division, that the contractors will most likely want to remove their building materials. They're valuable. They don't want them on site. And so, in regards to fire rescue, we're recalling all personnel to duty at 8 p.m. This evening. to ride out the storm. We have 2 additional advanced life support engines will be staffed for the storm. 2 personnel will be at Dunedin Elementary Shelter starting at 8 a.m. on Wednesday. And EOC, as I mentioned, is up and ready. And we also have 3 small boats ready to go for after the storm. And I understand from the sheriff that they also have additional high-profile vehicles coming from the National Guard. And they also have additional boats coming from the National Guard as well. So I'm not sure where we're staging that. We need to work with the sheriff's office in those terms. So I feel that we are prepared for the storm. I hope that all of our residents and business owners take this very, very seriously. Everybody's watching the track. I don't have to tell you where it's going, and who knows where it will end up. But we are going to get hurricane force winds here at this point. So please, I urge everybody, as I said, to be careful, listen to their instructions, and be safe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jennifer. Questions at this point?
I do.
Sure.
Would you mind just making a comment of where we believe the current landing is going to be now, just so at least we can say that we're all consistent at this point in time. It's up to everybody to watch for that, but
Yeah.
I know I received a lot of communication yesterday about that.
Yeah. Actually, I was looking at the 11 o'clock advisory. It's slowly moving to the south of us as a major hurricane. So it's a big storm. And so regardless, we're going to get those hurricane force winds, I believe,
As well as flooding.
as well as flooding here. But the farther south of us it goes, the better it is as far as our storm surge, although, you know, we pray for those in the path, but our storm surge gets better, the more south it goes. But we can still expect the wind and the rain.
So the last that I had heard, they identified, I think it was Venice, wasn't it? Was it Venice where it was going to land?
Well, they're
Yeah.
talking
saying
about it, but
right to
it's,
the Sarasota
it's
base.
like,
Yeah,
who
so that's
trusts a
good.
hurricane?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to change probably again.
But yes, it is.
But if
That's
if
where
the
it
next
is.
one shows a wobble to the south, that's if the next one shows another wobble to the south,
Right.
it's probably
Sure, but
good
at least.
for us, not good for
Yeah.
others, of
No,
course.
but thank you. It just, whatever was published, and there it is, and now we have to watch it. to
It's right in
see what
Sarasota.
happens. Thank you.
Sarasota?
Go ahead, I'm sure she has.
I do, but go ahead. Oh, wait.
Jennifer, I was just thinking it might be helpful, because it was very helpful to me to learn about the differentiation between the winds and the storm surge. I think if you talked a little bit more about that,
Thank you.
it might be really helpful.
Well, we're actually worried about 3 things with this storm. Obviously, the wind, which is going to cause a lot of debris. It's been a long time since we had a windstorm, so there's a lot of loose branches up there. We're concerned about the rain, because it's going to stall, apparently slow, and hang over us for a while. And then we're very concerned about the storm surge. And the storm surge for us was of greater concern when it was north of us, because it goes counterclockwise and just pushes all of that into our area and Tampa Bay as well. So I've spoken to the city manager of Safety Harbor and Oldsmar city managers, and they are obviously very concerned about those areas. So we need to consider all of those issues and mitigate as best we can, but it's like a quadruple threat.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Welcome.
Okay.
I just like timing of everything. When do we expect things to really start to really truly heat up? I mean, I'm in an
Middle of the night,
evacuation
yeah.
zone, so I know everybody's trying to get organized, make sure they're out, and obviously, trying to time it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Middle
We
of
were
the night.
figuring overnight, tonight, in the wee hours, we'll start to feel some of the effects, tropical storm force winds on into Thursday morning.
And Chief, just to be clear, once you evacuate your house, you actually do turn all the electric off, right? Or not?
You got to come to the microphone, Chief.
I mean, like, what is the best practice?
As far as electricity, I mean, you want to look at your refrigerators, that type of thing. If you're going to spoil the food, whatever you have in there, if you can put ice blocks in, that would be helpful. Don't necessarily know as though there's guidance to say unplug or shut your power off, but I would shut off as many things as you can and still leave lights on or anything like that you may need. But anything that you know is going to go bad, water heaters, obviously, I would be more concerned with water. If you could shut off your water to your home, do that. And, you know, if you have ice makers, obviously shut the ice maker off so it doesn't try to draw water. But that way, if there is damage to your water pipes, you're not going to flood your house while you're away.
Okay. And the last question is, and I've gotten this question from a few people because of a situation, so I just wanted to ask it. When people pull their boat out of the water, like, do they put it?
That's a good
Are
thing.
they supposed to put it by their house? Is it okay to put it in the street? What's the hazard of all that?
We'd rather not have you put it in the street, no. If you can put it next to your house, if you're on the north side, if you can get to the north side of your house, the storm will be coming obviously from the south, so you'll be getting the winds from the south. So that'll protect it a little bit if you can do that. But yeah, please don't put it in the street because that's only going to cause hazards for us as we're trying to go through during search and rescue after the storm.
In a perfect world, you have high ground and you take it there.
Yes, if possible. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer and the team.
Thank you.
I know you guys have been working really hard since late last week, so it's not going to be a short week, but we appreciate all the preparation, and thank God we're in our new Emergency Operations Center.
Absolutely.
So we're hopefully going to be showing some of that this afternoon.
We
So
are.
That's going to be great. Okay.
I have another question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. So we have some folks that live on creeks, et cetera. And do we know where we stand regarding release of water that are in some of the holding tanks, et cetera? Can you just talk about that? Because I had to talk about that on a couple of calls that I made, or received.
Morning. Jorge Quintas, Deputy City Manager. Well, with respect to the creeks, as you know, the majority of those flow from upstream, the contributing basins that are contain not only Dunedin's watershed, but, you know, Clearwater in certain areas. So, for example, Curlew Creek, there is the offline detention area that's off of Curlew that the county maintains. You know, they do try to create as much capacity as they can in advance of a storm, but you know, that's not a mechanical outfall, so it's not like they can pump it down. You know, given the amount of rains that we've had lately, there's a certain amount of volume that's available in that facility, but essentially it's, you know, given the amount of rain that we're anticipating, there's going to be substantial flow through those creeks.
And we've done our best to release whatever we can to get the water downstream. I guess the big thing is the tide tomorrow at, I think, at 11 o'clock or something that they're talking about, and that almost coincides when we're going to get hit by the major force of.
Yeah.
Of the storm, I guess.
So to both of your questions there, so as far as, you know, we coordinate with Pinellas County on that facility. We don't have the control on that particular offline pond. That's their facility. But, you know, having spent some time there, that's kind of standard operating procedures to try to create as much capacity as you can in advance of storms. So I suspect that they're doing that as well. And I'm sorry, what was your second question?
I assume that first part, and I assume it's over in the county territory. I understand that some of them are. And of course, I would assume that they had done that, but I said I didn't know, and I thought maybe you could confirm that. Mm-hmm. That was the most major concern, and that we're looking forward, because I know the city manager is really concerned about the water, the flooding.
Yeah,
that's a major issue for us.
With your question, I remember working on very little sleep lately. With your question related to tides, one of the things that we're hopeful based on the track is the rotation of the storm. It might actually help us with those onshore, with the tides as the wind bands circulate. It may actually push some of that water offshore, depending on the path of the storm and the rotation. Once it passes a certain distance, it'll whip it back around, but at least initially it might assist and might time with the high tides to help us in that regard. But, you know, there is going to be a substantial amount of flooding regardless.
I think you may recall during Irma, when all the water
Went out.
I
receded.
remember
It went
that.
out. Then that's the scenario that Jorge's talking about.
Well, and I mean, I don't know if I have the exact number right, but I did try to do a little research to see what the sustained winds were during Irma, just to kind of get a sense. And they were like in the 70s and 80s
Yeah.
at the most.
Yeah.
And this is not, so,
So we have.
depending on
extreme-
where it hits.
Yeah, we have an extreme high tide on late Thursday, I'm sorry. On late Wednesday.
Yeah.
When, just when it's expected to hit, so it's an extreme high tide.
We actually anticipate what they're telling us during our regional operations center calls and during our city manager, county manager calls, is that the storm is going to stall just before it hits us, and that we should have to experience 2 high tides during the course of the storm. And so, and that's what we'll be as prepared as we can for. This is going to be, a matter of endurance, I think.
Yeah, that's the first one, and the
Right.
second one is.
Exactly,
Yes,
it's Thursday.
one day later,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, during that rock call that Jennifer's mentioning, the most recent one that I participated in, they said we could expect in excess of 40 hours of sustained winds. So that's,
And thank you for
That's
allowing me to
substantial.
ask that question. So I think that the citizens need to know that. This is going to be a long period, and once you get hit by that first high tide, we're going to have, if this is stalled over here, we're going to have a second high tide that we're going to be dealing with, and that's going to be a long time away from each other, at least 24 hours, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go, thank you.
When are the next couple rock calls? I mean, when's your next count?
The rock calls are at 3 o'clock. The county administrator, city manager call is at 12:30. Then there's a public information officer call at 4, I believe, after the rock call. And then we actually meet as the department directors and have been meeting throughout the weekend at 2 o'clock.
So, I mean, we don't know what this is going to do, but let's just say it wobbles more to the south, right? And people will be like, oh, phew. Here's Charlie revisited, we killed ourselves, we're good. I just think it's going to be really important to make sure people understand what's true and what's not true, like what we're going to expect now, even if we're not going to get the worst, what are we going to get? Because I felt it this morning, because because of where I sit, and I felt that, oh, yeah, I hope that keeps going that way. Now, I know it's wobbling back and forth, we don't know, but you start to feel like, oh, okay, maybe we're going to be okay. So I just think making sure people understand at what levels what we will expect, so people's diligence is kept on the level of alert that they should be at, yes.
Okay. Nikki, do you want to read Resolution 22-24 by title
Yes,
only?
Mayor. Resolution 22-24, a resolution of the City of Dunedin, Florida, ratifying Executive Order 2201 of the City Manager declaring a state of local emergency for the City of Dunedin due to Tropical Storm Ian and its potential threat of harm to the residents and property of the city, providing for the waiver of procedures and formalities required by law pursuant to Section 25238 Florida statutes, and providing for an effective date. This has been reading of Resolution 2224 by title only. And I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have about the resolution.
Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Vice Mayor Kynes and Commissioner Tornga, any questions?
She said tropical storm Ian. I think she meant tropical storm, hurricane, whatever.
Actually, Nikki and I did have this conversation.
Oh,
The
so-
executive order says tropical storm because that was what it was when I
Okay.
executed it, so.
Thank you,
that's
The
Nikki.
why-
strength, but you're correct, Commissioner, this has increased to a hurricane. However, it's still operative to identify the storm sufficiently. And as the city manager just stated, because the city manager's executive order was written as tropical storm, that's why we kept it consistent for that ratification. But it is covering the same storm regardless of the strength that it becomes.
Thank you. It's a ratification of a
Yes.
prior action. I understand.
And it is valid for 7 days. So we will continue to stay in touch with the city manager. And if you all need to do any updates, we'll get with her on being able to extend that pursuant to her executive powers as the primary city official responsible for emergency management.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nikki, I had one. I think I already know the answer, but this is really more for people watching, if they are watching. We had initially a advertised budget meeting on Thursday evening. So can you just talk about the fact that under the emergency order, we are allowed to move that around?
Correct. And the city actually has already mobilized to take all of the necessary steps under the statute to reschedule and postpone that hearing in light of the state of emergency. So that those final budget hearings have been postponed to the city's regular city commission meeting, which will occur on October 6th. If anyone appears at City Hall that day to with the misunderstanding that the budget hearing is still going forward, there will be notice posted at City Hall advising everyone that the budget hearing is being postponed until the city's regular commission meeting on October 6th. There will also be an advertisement that is run in the newspaper. I believe that's being run on this Sunday. So yes, the city has already mobilized, taken all of those steps. And then just to be clear one more time, the new final budget hearing will be October 6th, beginning at the city's regular commission meeting start time, 6 p.m. Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor.
Yep, Jennifer, it's still showing on our website. It's not showing it's canceled.
Okay.
I mean, I know we've posted it on social media, but I just want to let you know it is still there. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak to this item? Seeing or hearing none, coming back to the commission, any final comments? All right, roll call vote.
Commissioner Franny?
Aye.
Commissioner Gao?
Aye.
Commissioner Torga?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kynes?
Aye.
And Mayor Bujalski?
Aye, and that motion passes unanimously. Our second item is the renewal of participant agreement with Tetra Tech amendment to debris monitoring services agreement.
We'll get the subject matter experts up here to talk about this one.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Bill Pickram, Solid Waste Division Director. Since 2017, the city has been situated with standby FEMA contractors for disaster debris-related services. Those have been arranged through an interlocal agreement we have with Pinellas County. That participation agreement we have with the county grants the city access to use their list of contractors secured through their RFP process. All approved contractors were procured in compliance of all federal procurement rules, ensuring eligibility for FEMA reimbursement. The initial bid or contract for our services had two components: for debris collection and hauling, and then also the second one was for monitoring and management. The one in question today that we're seeking approval on is for the monitoring and managing. This past June, the issue with that is the contract was a 5-year term for contract management, for contract and managing of monitoring and management. The term was a 5-year term with the expiration date of September 30th, 3 days away. However, over the last, since last June, this past summer in June, Pinellas County amended that original agreement by extending those services until the end of the calendar year. It's gap coverage, so we're in that. What's happening aside from that is the county is in place right now and finalizing new contracts, similar contracts that will take effect January 1st. This is a gap for 3 more months of services for monitoring and managing. So the debris contractor that we have for monitoring is a company called Tetra Tech. They have done business with us through IRMA. They are our monitoring company for IRMA, so they know how we operate. It's a good feel. I feel really good that they're one of those contractors, and they will work with us through Ian. They provide the city a proposal, not a proposal, they provide the city an amendment letter, which is in line to execute the renewal. So The letter is attached, is Exhibit A in one of the attachments in this agenda item. So there is no cost to the city until an event occurs, which is imminent. However, in participation for that imminent threat, staff hereby recommends the renewal of the participation agreement for disaster debris monitoring and management services as part of the Pinellas County cooperative RFP process with Tetra Tech. Wanted to give you the skinny, and essentially it's a gap coverage, giving us that coverage, so we're going to be good and we're in place. Tetra Tech is on standby, and on the other side of the second contract that's not at issue today, the collections and hauling of it, that contract's secured and good all the way through the calendar year. With that, I'll take any questions.
On behalf of all of us, I mean, the big question is, you remember during Irma, because it was such a major wind event, and that the whole state had debris issues, getting the debris removed was really problematic. I guess we probably don't know whether that's going to happen again, but
I can't predict how the contractors are going to react, storm chasers to a degree,
Yeah.
but we're in a better place, in my opinion, with the attention we're getting by these folks, which may not be better, but we're getting those contractors who are ready and on standby nearby. What was faced with the hurdle we had with Irma was there was a lot going on in Texas and the Louisiana area that they
At the
were
same time.
scattered at that time ahead of Irma. We're not seeing that. However, I've been in conversations for the last handful of days with these contractors.
okay. Any other questions? Any feedback from the public? All
I was
right.
trying to think of a really hard question to ask Sue.
Yeah.
You know, something really complicated, you know, Dunedin-centric, you know, after your 4 days.
she'll answer it.
Yeah, I know, yeah, a quick study, I know that.
I just was unmuting, ready for you to do just that, Commissioner Freeney.
Oh, my God.
I would just add too, because if you all look at the date, it's another ratification. So this is to make sure that, belt and suspenders, you are good through the end of the year. But you'll notice that the contract is actually dated to coincide with the county contract, which is consistent with the city's piggybacking in this matter. So just in case there was a question about the date of June 17th, that's to coincide with the county dates.
And Nikki, would it technically be extended as of June 17th anyway? Because
It was and that was being continuously performed, and as staff presented, the original term hasn't and didn't expire until the 30th. But correct, Mayor, it's just making it consistent with when the county did their extension, but it's continuous throughout the summer to today and will now be extended through December 31st, 2022.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Vice Mayor Kynes and Commissioner Tornga. Any final comments from anybody? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Jennifer, one quick thing, Bill, before you two go. A couple of days ago, we shared a post from Pinellas County about trimming all your stuff before the storm. So I'm hoping, I understand we have priorities. I'm just hoping that we can get to everybody. I'm just hoping. Because, I mean, even yesterday when we thought the Tuesday was going to be canceled, residents were pretty upset because we shared Pinellas County telling them to trim this stuff and then it wasn't getting picked up. Or they thought. It is, but.
We're in shutdown mode once the Pinellas County landfill shuts down, and that's the
trigger.
Yeah, that's the trigger.
Gotcha.
And there
Makes
was
total sense.
rumors all over. They may be open tomorrow morning. As of a call I made an hour ago, absolutely not. Last load, 6 PM tonight.
Gotcha. And we didn't know that yesterday. There was no way to know that because decisions are made very, very quickly during storm things. There's no way to plan. Okay. Well, I understand it. We can all acknowledge that to people that reach out to us.
Yeah, and I think
It's
too.
the best we can do.
We have to give each other a little bit of grace as we go through this. I know on
Absolutely.
both sides of it.
No,
A lot of people really working hard.
and they're stressed.
And they're stressed.
They're very stressed.
And staff has worked, really many, many hours to make sure that they got to everyone on our route, and they're doing the same thing today, even though there has been the additional.
No, I get
waste.
it.
So,
I get it. As a matter of fact, I even told my son last night, I was like, get that garbage out because they may be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't know. So I know you guys are really working hard and I want to thank you all. And then, post-storm, that's really when you guys kick in. And I remember all the major compliments that came in at Irma for your hard work. Even though people were frustrated, it wasn't your fault they were frustrated, but, So I know you've got a long week ahead of you and want to thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you.
Any final?
None, Mayor. Thank you, all of you, for coming in this morning.
All right, and we'll be doing a Facebook Live later today. We don't know exactly what time at this point, but people will get a notification. It'll be posted and,
It'll be similar material, yes.
Right.
We will definitely do that, though.
yes, ma'am.
Well, I just wanted to comment too that I guess we're recognizing the work, but I'm a little closer to what's going on at the sheriff's office now, but, to kind of remember, they literally lost one of their own.
Yeah.
And then, the next day, had to go into hurricane mode. So they're planning a funeral, and then they're shifting into hurricane mode. And I think, that's a lot. That's a big emotional shift, and we're very lucky to have them. They're a great force. And so I just wanted to share that appreciation, too, because, they're dealt a blow, but they got to go into action, and they're in action. They do what they got to do to protect this community, so.
And county administrator all the way down, their management staff, they've been working really hard and really, really, really working at communicating. And, this is evacuations, that's not kid stuff. So they're doing a great job.
And I think Barry does a great job with that. It's great.
Yeah, he does, and I have been communicating with Dave. Just, not that he's telling me anything that we aren't already, that, our team is hearing. I'm just making sure that we're connected to our representative, our closest representative on the next level. And
Smart.
so, okay. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye, Nikki.